It's the biggest event on the international pool calendar. It's Germany against Finland. It's the final of the 2001 Admiral World Pool Championships. The glittering prize is a fine silver trophy. The objective, to be on top of the world, the king of 9-ball pool. Ralf Souquet of Germany is the Kaiser. Mika Immonen of Finland is the Iceman. Dave Clark is down in Cardiff.
Welcome along. It's the moment you've been waiting for, the final of the Admiral World Pool Championship 2001. Ralf Souquet from Germany takes on Finland's Mika Immonen. We pick up the action from rack 8.
He's missed the one ball, but a corner ball went in. Now he needs that one ball to come out a little bit there. Now he has a shot on the one and a possibility of getting on the two. Here's the overhead shot of that break, and the corner ball comes right at you. 3 ball down.
Well, he's got the 1. 2 will be covered by the 8 unless he does something about it after potting it. So perhaps a bit of spin on the ball in one way, shape or the other. Lots of left-hand spin, bringing the cue ball back out into the middle of the table. Ideally on the 2 for the 4, which is next. Remember, keep an eye on the bottom of your screens at most times to see the order of the balls. So the red 3 already down. He jumps now from 2 to 4.
Steve, he's really got a great opportunity here. No problems.
He certainly has. As was mentioned in our earlier coverage, born in the UK and has had quite a bit of snooker experience in the past. Played a bit of snooker in this country, I believe. Decided to switch to 9-ball, adapted his style. Doesn't look so much like a snooker player anymore, but he has had a severe grounding in the game to start with. So that back arm is used to playing on a smaller table.
Well, you can tell he's getting very comfortable. He's back into his natural pace. Both men started out rather slowly for their normal pace of play, rather cautiously, but now Mika looking quite cool at the table.
Yes, fascinating how it actually does switch backwards and forwards to a player retaining position and keeping on the table. He looks the most comfortable, and all of a sudden it switches. One mistake and the other guy starts to get into his stride. It's who can do the most damage for the extended amount of time needed.
Well, Mika Immonen's made very short work of this rack. Strode through it like it was duck soup. Nothing to this rack. 9-ball down, and we're tied at 4 apiece. Well, once again, the 3-ball goes in that corner, and this time the 1 also disappears. And look at that, too. It sets up nicely for him.
Well, 3 balls off the break. And that was perfectly struck. His next ball after this 2 will be the 5, which is in close proximity to the 2. Not much work to do here to go into the lead for the first time in the match.
He's treating the Kaiser rather cruelly at the moment, keeping him seated right in his chair where he wants him. And you can see Ralf watching patiently.
Ralf hasn't had this much resistance in a game for since the second round, I think, when he came close to losing against Toda. 9-8, I think he beat him.
This now the key shot in the rack, getting off of the 6 so that he can get on the 7 to achieve position on the 8-ball. I'm sorry, Steve.
do apologise, I interrupted you, Jerry. I think lots of left-hand spin possibly coming up the table.
Beautiful pace on that ball. Well, Mika Immonen has caught a gear. And Ralf has to get to the table to derail him. Mika showing no weakness at the moment.
Yes, Jerry, the first sign of a move in the game, of a player starting to control the break-off.
Mika Immonen rolling through the racks now. One again in the side.
Oh, and a very similar pattern of balls appearing there for Mika.
Oh, but will the 2-ball clear the 7 is the question.
Oh, he's close to it. I don't think he can. I don't think he can. I think he can see it just about. But he's not going to be able to do a lot with it. Good possibilities of a safety shot, unless he has to swerve round the blue 2, round the brown 7 for the blue 2. If he has to swerve round, he'd be putting right-hand spin on, and when it comes off the side cushion, it then perhaps would kill the pace of the cue ball. He'd like to widen the angle off the cue ball and get it behind this 3, 9 and 6. Right, well, he can chip the outside edge. He would like to see more of it than that, so perhaps he'll have to invent something else. Is the possibility of the jump on? Not really, because of the position of the 3. If he pots it, he's nowhere on the 3.
Well, he may put a slight hop on that ball, however, and try to bring the cue ball down here behind this wall of balls and just play a safety at this point. That's one option.
If he did play the jump, and he did get position on the 3, as he's doing now, he could play the 3 and cannon onto the 5 that is over the corner pocket.
He does have a number of options here.
Jacking up a lot here. Pots it.
Oh, watch out, corner pocket. Eats the cue ball.
Oh, disaster. Ooh, he doesn't like it. He tried to screw the ball back a bit more than that. An absolutely incredibly executed shot, I must admit. Did well to stop the ball jumping off the table, Jerry.
Extremely cruel when you pull off a shot like that and you see your cue ball get gobbled up in a corner pocket.
Looked like somebody was dragging it into the pocket from below there. A big hand came out and pulled it in. The spin on the cue ball eventually making all the difference in the end. And Ralf let off the hook somewhat. Every chance of going 5-5.
Well, Ralph's spirit should be lifted considerably with this opportunity.
Most of the mistakes have been from Mika. Some unforced, some a bit unfortunate. Ralf has been pretty solid though.
Ralf Souquet surveying a very simple out. His only decision is where to play the 7-ball. He has all pockets open.
One of the problems, 9-ball pool, is that there are so many choices that you can become confused. Usually on the snooker table, you don't have as much choice. You can play the 7 into any pocket he wanted. He has to work out the best one to guarantee position back on the 9. Looks like he's just going to draw back to the side rail just before the middle pocket with a bit of spin, and he'll be perfectly on the 9-ball. 10 racks will be completed of a possible 33 here in Cardiff. Oh, he played a run through. Very effective it was too. These players not hanging about. It hasn't been a particularly tactical game. The balls haven't gone tight at all. There haven't been many racks where there's been a problem and a tactical battle ensuing. I'm sure there will be a few later on. And this is Ralf Souquet levelling the scores at 5-all. The one. Missing the middle pocket by a fraction. He's very, very, very dry.
Very dry, a la Jerry Forsyth. Well, Jerry's just having a quick lay down. He didn't see any Americans contesting this final. And, you know, it's interesting, Steve. You look at Mika and Ralf out there, and what a prospect this sets out for the upcoming Mosconi Cup in December.
Yes, I think the Mosconi Cup team, the only problem is who to put in and who to leave out now. I suppose that's been the problem for the American team for a number of years, but the European contingent getting ever stronger.
This is a chance for Mika, and the natural path is going to bring the cue ball down to the 2 here. And look at this shot for Mika Immonen.
Absolutely knew he was going around the back of that 5. He knew he wasn't going to cannon into any balls at all. Complete knowledge of a 9-ball pool table. Bit of a problem perhaps on the 3. Got to be careful how to get position on the 3. Where's he looking here? Just drawing back, leaving himself a bit of a tricky cutback, but that's not too much of a problem.
Yes, into a blind pocket. Half expected a little bit of side on that cue ball to straighten out against the 3, but he should still expect to get this, and he knows the 4's over the bottom corner, so he doesn't have to do a lot of work. Just concentrate on the pot here.
Deliberately played a cannon, a full ball cannon onto the 8-ball, using the 8-ball as a blocker, and guaranteeing position on the 4. Quickly into position on the 5, and all of a sudden Mika moving through the gears. Every player in the game would like to be playing as flowing as possible. Sometimes the balls don't dictate that, and usually in every sport the players who play with great rhythm and don't think too much come to the fore.
This was something that I thought about earlier in leading up to this final, as Immonen plays just a bit quicker than Ralf, and psychologically that can be a little tough to contend with, but Ralf, with all the experience, he's already got 1 world title under his belt, remember, and he's looking for the 2nd, whereas this would be Immonen's 1st, and who's to say maybe not first of many, the way this young man has improved.
As I was mentioning at the top of the show, Mika, when he first came to this country, was viewed very much as a player who went for 1 ball too many, tried to be overly aggressive and therefore was weak because of it. I think during these round robin stages and the final knockout stages, we've seen the player maturing in front of our eyes. 6-5, Immonen goes in front. And now Ralf Souquet has to play catch-up. The 1 in the middle.
He's not on the 2, Steve.
Wing balls going in as well.
And every time that 2 ball, or the lowest ball still remaining, finishes nearest a pocket, it makes the push out that much tougher. And you can see the 1 again, as we've seen so often all week here, straight into the middle pocket. And a wing ball as well. But this isn't going to make the push out too easy. And you know, it wouldn't surprise me to see him kick at this from the back cushion. I think that's what he's looking at right now.
Yes, he has a very dangerous kick out, trying to sneak that cue ball behind the 9 after kicking. But of course that blue 2 is going up the table, right towards that corner pocket. No, he didn't even try that. He played a much better shot, far better shot, pushing the 2 onto the cushion and back into the middle part of the top rail.
That's right, at this level, these players execute this type of shot with control in mind. They're just not looking for the hit. They've got that laid out in their minds what they're doing.
It would have been very easy to have gambled on getting that cue ball behind the 9. And you can play defensive safety or aggressive safety. And if you do play aggressive safety, you can come unstuck. That was a much more solid escape that leaves Ralf the problem. How do I play a good safety back? And with the balls as they are, I would suggest there is absolutely no guarantee whatsoever that Ralf can get these balls safe.
Well, if he does elect to put some distance between white and blue too, and it's risky. You can see where he's looking right now. He could try and bring the cue ball off the 2 cushions back, using the 5 and the 6, bumping the 2 towards the top right pocket. But I mean, Steve, we've seen those type of shots go wrong, haven't we?
Yes, we have. He also has opportunities to go down the table with a white ball, but he may, even going off doing this, he has to be careful he doesn't. He's played it well, but the green 6 has left the blue 2 on.
There you go. He tried the shot, but again, so many things can go wrong. Looks great when it works, and you look somewhat foolish when it doesn't. A lot of people wondering what Ralf was doing, but had he gotten what he attempted, he would have been putting Mika in jail.
Called it a bit thick, but then if he'd have caught it thinner, he could have gone in off and scratched, so it was always a dangerous one.
Just pinching the pocket to keep that cue ball away from the right cushion. He wants to be able to cue into the white here, and this is the big shot for me in this rack already. If he can keep his head down here and a nice smooth stroke on this one and land on the 5, the hard work will have been done.
Nice solid stroke on there, positive. Coming across the table to leave the orange 5 past the green 6. Has the option to trundle into the middle pocket, but most of these players don't like that shot. The pockets accept the ball very easily from a shallow angle, and therefore it's as certain to pot it in the corner as in the middle. Just leaving himself an angle on the green 6. He won't try and get too close to this brown 7. He just has to draw across the table, perhaps off the side cushion and back into the middle of the table, or even play a lot softer and keep that cue ball in the middle of the table for the brown 7. Michaela Tab just checking to make sure that he's not actually fouling the 7.
A nice angle too to bring the cue ball back for the 8 here, Steve, and Mika looking good value to enjoy a 2-rack lead in this final and breaking to try and increase that.
He was 4-2 behind. He's won 4 out of the last 5 should these 2 balls go in.
Showed a lot of character in his semifinal win over Alain Martel, and that's just what you're seeing now. This is a gutsy performance from Mika Immonen. He's now 2 racks clear of a former world champion, Ralf Souquet.
The 1's going to go behind the 3. Ooh. Be careful. There is a shot on. It requires, watch this, the 3 come across the table, the 1 misses. Mika must have thought for a second that he actually had a shot on the 1. Mika has a chance to go off the side cushion and pot the 1 ball down the rail. That is very risky, but is a big possibility.
And he knows the 2's at the right end of the table to attempt this as well, Steve.
Should he play it? Shouldn't he? I think he is. Cushion first, left hand spin, flick the 1 in the corner. Oh.
The class of Immonen rising to the top here now. Look at this shot. How well did he have to judge that?
He is living up to his image and his nickname of the Iceman. He's overhit that by just a fraction, I suppose. Now he's got to roll the 3 in.
Yeah, the 5 available bottom left as we look. So again, concentrating 100% on this pot. He doesn't have to work the cue ball too much.
Fraction worried for a second that he'd over cooked it into the cushion. $300,000 on offer this week. Oh, it's a mistake. He's missed the 5. Has he got away with it? Just a fraction off line and a bit of pace, and the ball just sticks in the jaws. You can't believe they would do. Well, and I'll tell you what, he's made it very difficult for Ralf Souquet. Even if he swerved round, that 5 is so far into the pocket that by hitting the cushion first, he may well miss the 5 completely. A lot of times we see a player go up and down the table rather than try and swerve round the snookering ball. Offline, it looked as if it was going to go in for a second, but the speed kept that one out. Now, what does he do, Jim, after this? Because I think he's actually got a problem going back up and down the table, hasn't he?
Well, he is having a good look as we again see Mika. Probably couldn't believe that 5 stayed on the table. But I know one thing, Ralf would rather be at the table, even facing this situation, than sat in his chair.
Just look at that 6, the green 6, stopping Ralf going up and down the table. Much easier to go up and down the table than side to side. Does he go side to side or does he swerve? And if he does swerve, he's got to put a hell of a lot of right-hand spin on this.
What a shot from Ralf Souquet there. I think he knew he had a chance to seize the momentum back, Steve.
You won't see a ball struck sweeter than that. That had to be perfectly controlled.
Just missed the 8 too.
And he caught it very thick as well. He had room to spare there. He just made sure it was a great strike.
You talked about the $300,000 purse. $65,000 will go to the eventual winner and $30,000 to the runner-up. So the lion's share out here.
Biggest purse in 9-ball pool, and expect the prize money to go through the roof in this game.
Certainly on the verge. Well, he's having a look. He underhit that one by some margin. And this is a tougher pot than Ralf would have liked, but what he's worried about is a contact from the 9 to leave the 8 on, and he doesn't want to bump that 9 towards the 8 and knock it out of position.
If he tries to draw back the cue ball, he could lose control of the cue ball. He's just got to trust, not to luck, but just judgment. Ooh, it's come a little bit further over than possibly he would have wanted, but still in perfect position, really.
But he did have to exercise a bit of care there. He knew it, and he didn't want to take any chances. Big chance now for 7-6 to Immonen, but Souquet, more importantly, would have secured the break back. This is his moment right now. I'll tell you what, he might need a stepladder if he wants to play this shot from there. Gonna have to use the rest, Ralf, looking at it from that end. All you've got to do is push that 8 into the pocket. Buries the 9 and stops the rot.
There will be a crisis point at some stage in this match. And it depends how it's handled as the story of the match unfolds. At the moment, it looks very much like Ralf could level this rack up. He has one problem. Blue 2, dead straight on the cushion. Not a lot he can do with the cue ball. Looks like he'll be snookered on the 3. Can he roll through just before the middle pocket and get on the 3, Jim? Just through the gap?
Well, he's having a look at it from both sides, Steve. Our overhead doesn't offer any conclusive evidence as to whether or not he can, but boy, he'd have to get that cue ball awful close to that center pocket.
Yes, and if he can't, and he can't put any backspin on, which is debatable off the cushion, if he could jack up in the air, which would be the same as playing a jump shot, he may even refuse the pot. It's hard to believe. He may better force an angle down the table and have a cut at the 3. He's forced an angle just to the side. I wouldn't say forced, but created an angle for the pot just to the left-hand side of the pocket, and as you can see, if he hadn't have done that, he would possibly have been snookered on the 3.
And now position to the 4, not a formality. He may be able to cue right through that center pocket and impart a little bit of spin on the cue ball, though, and that would be a bit of a bonus for him. Again, tough to say as we look from our overhead perspective.
Yeah, I think he can. He can just... Yes, he can. Well, he chose not to put spin to run round off of 2 rails, and must be quite confident of his own potting ability at the moment. He's left himself a cut 4, perhaps cut with a fair bit of pace to bring the cue ball twice across the table into the middle of the table.
Mistakes are being punished in this match, as one would expect, even the small ones. And Souquet looking to burn the memory of that missed 5 when Immonen looked threatening to go 8-5 in front, and now 7-7 favored on the cards.
Uh-oh. Was that a kick? Did he get a bad contact? It's sometimes impossible to say, even by looking at a slow motion replay. It didn't particularly look like a kick. It was a very thick contact. He played with right hand spin, which usually flicks the ball slightly to the left.
It almost looked like it skidded a bit. He's left the 5 for Immonen, and now the commentator's curse comes into play for the first time as Immonen all set to re-establish that 2-rack lead. But what a horrid miss from Ralf Souquet.
Yes. The second time the 5 has been unexpectedly left in the jaws of the pocket. They're both going to have... Which one's going to have the most nightmares about the 5 this evening when they finally fall asleep? After the long celebrations that I think perhaps both these lads deserve.
Nine deposited. Immonen gratefully accepts that gift.
The 1 looked very close there. It stayed out, and is the 3 going to snooker again? No, it hasn't. And I tell you what, Mika's in prime position. Mika's just looking at the layout of the balls, that the 1 is potable, and he's got a chance to push the 9 towards the other corner pocket. He may even, and he'd be on the 2. He may even just slowly drop that 9 towards the pocket. Maybe a quick win. He doesn't have to, of course, spot it. He could easily go the rack.
Was never in danger, as you said. It did afford natural position to the 2, and again, Mika Immonen with a rack at his mercy.
He would have liked to have seen it dropped. Makes it a lot easier to win the rack, because now he's thinking, oh, I've still got to pot all these balls and get there and don't mess it up. But I don't think he will.
Three, top right. You can see the 4 over the right center. Again, nothing to do with the cue ball. Just focus completely on the pot. Let the natural run be your friend. Oh, that one.
Hey, it's getting a little bit tense out there. Of course, just catching the inside of that jaw, just about dropping. That was close. The problem for Mika, of course, is that he knows he's on the verge of just starting to pull away, and that in itself can create a bit of panic.
There usually are, in a match of this length, there usually are 2 chapters of pressure and having to control those nerves, and it's obviously the start of the match and when we draw to a conclusion.
Mika Immonen, 9-6. Ralf Souquet is the first one to be asked the questions. one going over the corner. That is looking very ominous.
Indeed. Another look at it. 2 balls into the wing pocket, and more importantly, position on the 1.
Blue 2 down, as you can see on your screens at the bottom. The order of balls to be potted now, 1, 3, 5, and then the run.
Well, now a bit of a testy little positional shot for Immonen. Side cushion with a lot of bottom and right-hand spin, and back to where he's holding his finger and out again into the center to leave the 5 bottom left. This is where things can go wrong because that cue ball's traveling.
Got to hit this hard enough to get across the table, but not that he snookers himself. Well, couldn't have worked out better. He's even left the 6-9 combination. I think 2 shots from now, it's 10-6 to Immonen.
And it is on. Mika Immonen is having his way with Ralf Souquet at this moment in time. 10-6, staring him in the face.
I think we're probably at the stage in this match where Mika has just started digging the hole that he wants to put Ralf in.
And soon he's going to start filling it up.
Softer break. Nearly knocked the 9 in the middle. He's just soft enough that the 1's not come off the back cushion. The long bank leaves no guaranteed position on the 2. Up and down the table with the 1 is a very big possibility. The choice for Mika is safety or aggression.
Well, I don't think there's much doubt, Steve, even with the 10-6 lead, he's going to want to put that mountain in front of Ralf Souquet. And you really can't see him attacking from here. I mean, the pot, difficult enough to try and bank that 1, but without the position guaranteed, not much chance at all.
But there are times when there isn't a better safety option that you may decide to play. I think he's looking at the bank and the position on the 2 here.
Bank is a shot to nothing.
The bank is a shot to nothing, played with plain ball. He's going to try and bank the 1 back down the table. Send the cue ball to roughly here. He gets the snooker if he misses it.
Yeah, that'd be a great shot. And you know something? Looking at it, that's definitely on.
The only thing is if he can get the cue ball wide enough over there, he may come up a bit short. He may actually hit the sort of middle diamond of those 3. I think you better do it though. You've got to play it at just the right pace, really.
If he doesn't feel he can clear the 9 with the cue ball, he won't take it on. All depends how he sees it.
Oh, he hasn't cleared the 9, and it is a genuine misjudgment of the angles. The cue ball was coming off that bottom cushion, but he was quite a way out with the 1. He hit it wide. Because he hit it wide, the cue ball went wider as well. So Ralf Souquet has to calm his nerves. He's hanging his head a bit. He's been given a chance.
Well, we talked about the experience coming to the fore now for Souquet, because last time he was at the table, he missed a bad 5. And does he have the experience to put all those negative thoughts out of his mind?
Well, he has, but he knows he mustn't panic.
Still a long ways to go in this final. A race to 17. Ralf Souquet knows there's many more chapters to be written in this book.
Mika's over halfway to the finishing line. Ralf only a third of the way. A bit straighter than he would like. Just checking what he can do with the cue ball. How much of the pocket he could cheat, should he wish. Rolling through past the orange 5. for position on the 3. Didn't have to leave himself an angle too much there on the 3 because the 5 is the next ball. But he wanted to be able to get this cue ball away from the top cushion because the 6 is the ball after the 5. So he may be playing with power to bring off the cue ball off 2 cushions.
And Ralph's biggest fan is young daughter Celine. She'll be watching back in Germany, trying to will Dad over the finish line first. He's got a lot of work to do here and in the racks to come.
He's not ideally placed for position. The cue ball going away from the green 6, and there are 2 balls in the way of the green 6 should he get behind them. So some perhaps manoeuvring around the table even. It's hard to see from this position. Oof, well, marvellously controlled through the gap. The nightmare for him there was if he'd have just caught the backside of the 7 and lined it up for a snooker. Very, very well judged by Ralf Souquet. Didn't want to be any softer on that, but it looks like he's weathered a minor storm. 10-7 looking the likely outcome of this rack. And Ralf gets the all-important break-off, and he needs to do something special off this break-off. It hasn't been working for him, and he needs to click into action very soon.
Nine down. Ralf Souquet again stops the imminent rot.
And it's not going Ralph's way on the break-off. It really isn't. He's not getting the exact same split of the balls, and he's not getting the luck as well, which is also important in how the balls end up. He has a very, very tricky blue 2 cut.
Yeah, I noticed when Mika was breaking off, Steve, he was getting the wing ball, sending the 1 ball past the center and leaving it on into one of the corner pockets, whereas Ralf slotting the 1 ball into the center, and if he isn't landing on the 2, he's out of position.
Hampered by the 9 makes the 2 doubly hard. So much though that the safety option is available, and actually with this position, safety wise, you could even make a case for the push out.
He's had a look now twice. That 2 is available top right, and you can only think that Ralf is entertaining thoughts of actually taking this 2 on, even bridging over that 9.
If he hits it firmly enough, there is every opportunity that the blue 2 would go safe if he missed. Is there a possibility of trying to make the 2 and knocking the 9 in? Ridiculous, isn't it? Because of course, if he did knock the 2 in, hit the 9, it didn't go in, he could be snookered on the 3. Top players don't take risks like that. Got a clue what's going to happen here. Marvellous, but where's this cue ball going? Oh no, he's snookered on the 3, or is he?
Well, I'm looking for a reaction from Ralf because we can't tell, and it looks very close. He's looking at the 4, Steve. I've got to believe that he can get through to this, and he can, wide open.
He had to trust to luck there. He really did. That could have been a nightmare scenario after playing an excellent pot on the blue 2. Didn't touch the sides, to be punished for having to play the pot.
And what a pot that was on the 2.
Struck very sweetly. Just a fraction of movement there with the head, generating a bit of power with the cueing. But that was a clever positional shot by Ralf. Left himself quite a distance away from the 4, but the right angle for the 5.
He's already had a look at that 8. You can see 4, 5, 6, and 7 pose no problems, but if that 8 isn't available to the bottom left, then position from the 7 to 8.
Oh my goodness. There's a bit of movement in Ralf's body on the shot. He's just not keeping himself still enough on the shot, and he's getting more and more upset with what are pretty straightforward shots. He's left it a bit trickier for Mika than could have been expected with a hanger in the jaws.
Had to play that with just a touch of inside spin on the white, and
feeling it.
Is he ever?
And that has happened sometimes to Ralf in some of the tournaments we've seen on the television. He starts to get into his shell a bit, starts to feel the heat. We all feel the heat.
This is one of those instances where you know Mika wants to attack because of the miss from Souquet. It's so important for him to be able to punish him right now. But this is a real tough starting 4-ball.
The problem is he's got to make sure he doesn't snooker himself on the green 6. So he got it very softly, and in softly hitting it and putting side spin on, he forced the pink 4 into the cushion. A complete misjudgment with the rest. Watch this spin on the cue ball, pushing the 4 straight into the cushion, but he's got lucky. He hasn't stuck it up. I don't think the position that the 4's gone into in relation to the cue ball that he can bank the 4 back into the opposite corner pocket. He may be able to with lots of left hand spin on. Just a straightforward bank up and down would be the shot, but he has to avoid the double kiss. What do you think, Jim? The thin safety?
Well, I'll tell you what, Steve, the way I bank balls on a pool table, and obviously you talked about the inside spin to straighten the angle. That's something that a lot of pool players understand, but from a snooker background, we just don't even see that shot.
Obviously, if he tried the long bank, the pink forward cannon straight into the cue ball, so he would have to try and alter the angle somewhat with some spin, but he's playing a very thin safety, trying to hide behind the 6, under hit it, and left Mika options on safety, and I think dangerously options on getting behind the 9. He knows he's under hit the shot, he knows he's made mistakes. He is not happy at the moment, Ralf.
Yes, he's having a look right now. The only danger as he tries to kick this one is just getting in too deep and the cue ball going into the corner pocket. But that shouldn't be something that should concern Mika here.
Wow, he's made it in the middle pocket. Did he play that, Jim? I don't know.
Steve, I'll tell you what, he probably knew it was going near the middle pocket. Bonus if it goes in, but have a look at the position even if it didn't. He was probably going to be snookered behind the 6.
I don't think he could have possibly have chosen that option, but perhaps the experience of playing the game enough and knowing that every now and again happens is the right shot to play. I thought he could see more of the 4 and try and sneak behind the 9, but well, that's a big turning point in this game should he go on and win this rack.
Well, that's right, because there's no way that he should have had such an easy look in at that 4 from Souquet's safety. But again, this shouldn't even be this far in this rack. Ralf knows that he had it sitting on a table for him and was just there to clean up.
A crisis rack in this race to 17. There always are turning points. Both players will look back on this rack as being important.
It's always tougher to watch than it is to play.
No, it's not.
You're always the one playing.
Well, I've done a bit of watching on last year's snooker circuit. I tell you, it's a lot easier to talk about it than it is to play it.
This 9, the long 9, to reestablish that 4-rack comfort zone.
And of course, having the break, the chance to get to 5 first. 11-7. Mika Immonen is in the driving seat.
And look at the break off again for Immonen.
May not be as good as it first looked. The 1 looks like it can cut back into the middle pocket, but I doubt very much if it can. It would have to be very thin, and the bump of that middle pocket may well make it very, very tricky indeed.
And that's not to allude to the little mess in the center of the table. The 4 and 5 just beside the 9 certainly don't look available, so those may have to be developed. This is far from a formality in terms of a run out here.
He has possibly a bank into the opposite corner pocket and bringing the cue ball down into a safe area behind the 2. Don't know if that's on. The middle pocket may be in the way. He could, if he doesn't fancy cutting the 1 ball back into the pocket, bank the 1 ball into the opposite middle. Well, that is very risky. Well, it went quite easily. What on earth were we all talking about? Or what was I talking about anyway, Jim?
Well, still, this is the big shot, Steve, isn't it? From the 2 to the 4, because that 4, unless it offers up a combination onto the 5 to the center, and it does look very close, possibility of certainly a good, strong defensive shot. Well, Mika's already looking at the 4. If he could just drop in behind it, he could play a very evil snooker on Ralf Souquet. Now he is looking at the 5, I think.
The 4 pots in the middle pocket, possibly. Ooh, this is dangerous. He's overcooked this. Oh, dear me, that is a big mistake.
Bit of carelessness there. I think he tried to make too much and didn't take what was on offer.
I think he was trying to draw it round, spin it round and break up those balls. Paid the ultimate penalty for trying a risky shot. And trusting to luck. And not getting any.
Still easier to fly at shots like that when you're 11-7 in front than 11-7 behind.
The only thing that makes this shot a bit more difficult is trying to keep position on the 5, and of course the fact that Ralf Souquet is currently out of sorts. It actually isn't as easy as we first thought. If he catches this one thick, and the last missed pot on the 5 he caught thick, it's good night Vienna.
But again, Steve, after the way that Souquet has lost a few racks, he's got to do something of a very positive note to again try and regain the initiative and afford himself the opportunity to plant Mika Immonen in his chair for a few racks.
He was 4-2 in front at one stage in this match. He's won 3 racks since. Mika's won a lot more.
And he just looks the more comfortable of the 2, doesn't he, Immonen?
Yeah, he certainly does. Ralph's very sensibly not taking a risk. Playing a very cagey shot there, as you would expect from a player with Ralph's experience. Not only potting and doubling the ball, but leaving himself as nicely placed on the 5 as he could possibly be. He does have a positional problem in as much as the green 6 is frozen to the rail and is unavailable from much of the table, possibly making the pot slightly more difficult down the rail by being totally frozen. He needs to push through with the 5, leave himself a shot on the 6 and run the cue ball round off of 3 rails to get back for the 7. So this is missable. He needs to catch ball and cushion. Well, perhaps cushion just before ball, but missable.
Yeah, you catch the cushion first here, and a danger of an in-off in the top left. So this is one of those shots that you really got to spin the white. And as you said, Steve, he's got to be very careful here Very missable. And what a moment for Souquet.
This is the biggest shot he's had to face in this match so far. He's got to hit it firm but smoothly. Any jerkiness in the cue action could take that cue ball offline.
These are the type of shots the Filipino players play so well. And normally, so does Ralf Souquet, but this is a world final.
He may not be running around the angles. It's hard to see. It looks like he's cueing quite centrally at the moment. He may spin the ball at the end. Oh, he's tried it. Oh, and I tell you what, he was miles out with the positional side. He knew it was going to be tight. He just couldn't get the spin on. Look where he's left himself. Nothing going right. The positional side was so difficult with that shot. He was trying to go to the top cushion first there, not the side cushion, and then spin round the angles.
Yeah, it was so important to catch the ball first. If he just caught the cushion first, that's what you're going to see. And he was almost lucky that cue ball didn't go into the corner pocket.
Now, what on earth does he do? He's got to, I think now, cut his losses and try somehow to get that cue ball behind the black 8.
You think so, Steve? I'll tell you what. I'm half thinking he might take this on.
The cut. Wow.
I think it's as tough as the safety here.
Well, I like the safety, Jim. You want the cut.
I'm looking at the score, and I'm thinking if I'm Ralph, I want to do something. I want to do something to really turn this match around, something that I can.
But this is suicide if he plays this and goes 12-7 behind.
Yeah, it looks like he's heard you. The thin clip on the left.
They're both fraught with danger.
Well, that's what world titles will get you, experience.
Oh no!
Look at this, Ralf Souquet.
He may have left the 7-9 combination. It's a jump, 7-9, even if he is snookered.
Oh, Ralph has to be just kicking himself right now. If he's left this on, and you just saw the hand movement from Mika Immonen.
He knows it's on, he's just choosing which one to play. Ralph, you couldn't have asked for it. You couldn't have expected that to happen. He's played the shot as well as he could possibly have played it. Perhaps he should have gone for the cut, Jim.
Yeah, then he would have probably missed it, and we'd be racking him up for the next rack.
Yes, hasn't.
Oh, the cut was a tough shot, like I said. Well, like I said, Steve, you got all those world titles. Ralph with a world title. What am I going to say?
But you haven't sat in this commentary box for the whole week for nothing, Jim. Now he's looking at the jump.
Yeah, here it is.
The jump is more secure than swerving the ball and putting spin on. Here we go. Oh! Oh! Oh!
Don't anybody move.
If we breathe in our commentary box, that 9 will go in.
And that's applause for a valiant effort, because everyone in this arena thought that 9 was down. Look at this.
3 balls in the air at once. You don't see that often. What a let-off for Souquet. Oh.
And that's one we're all going to remember, because that could be the turning point in this match. Desperately close to 12-7, and Ralf Souquet is going to pull back to 11-8.
Well, Ralph struggling to pot the 8. He knows he's going to get the 9.
And the 9 finally disappears in favor of the German.
Where's the 2 in relation to the cue ball? Well, it's gone in between. Another one. He's got options. Black 8 over the pocket, the bank, the safety, but he wants an easy run.
It seems like the racks that Ralf Souquet is securing are coming with a pint of blood, and Mika Immonen is virtually taking his 2 and 3 at a time.
And the longer this game goes on, and the harder that Ralph tries, the more the veins stick out. And there's a couple of pints in those, I should think. And sensibly cutting his losses once again. Would have liked to have been a bit closer to the 9. There's the possibility that Mika can get off the side cushion and make a 1 cushion escape. And perhaps not, now looking at the relation of the balls.
He's got the bottom cushion. He's already had a good look at that, and I feel that that's his only escape route here.
He'd like to go up and down, because then there's a chance of potting the 8. But he can't go up and down the table. He's got to come off, as you say, Jim, this bottom cushion.
But again, Steve, with something like this, he may have to play this using the rest, and you just know he's going to be leaving this one in the lap of the gods. And
would he try and push this to the side cushion and try and tie it up with the 3? Very risky, of course, because it could be the 2-3 combination.
Anytime the escapes have been that difficult and the players weighing up the odds and not feeling that they can hit it and get it safe, never a bad shot. You see that a lot from the Canadian, Alain Martel, and every time he did it, it seemed to work out quite well. Efren Reyes again employs that often.
Hold on, hold on. He's thought of something else, hasn't he? He's looking at a 2 cushion escape that pushes the blue towards the 8. Phew. What he's looking at.
Well, that 2 cushion escape I don't fancy at all.
No, nor do I, but that's what he just sort of looked and summed up for a fraction of a second. He's gone back to the 1 cushion, thought better of it. How's he going to try and get this blue 2 safe? Can he, in a way, he'd like to hit it extra thin, but he can't risk missing it. He's got to try and hit thick and perhaps send it behind the orange 5. Well, has he left the thinnest of thin cuts?
Well, he can see the blue too, and Ralf has just had a look at it from the back end.
It looks like he's cutting the ball backwards over 90 degrees, but I can assure you that is a very makeable pot.
And not to mention, even if he wasn't to take this on, how difficult would the safety be from here? So he's almost forced into taking this.
Not too sure what he was doing with his bridge hand there.
Just trying to nudge that 3 out of the way.
I think what he's doing is trying to work exactly how the cue ball was going to come off the blue 2. If it was going to cannon the 5 full in the face, he wouldn't be on the 3. He's got to try and make this cue ball escape off the bottom cushion after bumping into the 5. And that was what all that judgment was about with his hand. I think he'll be okay doing it. He did get a full ball contact, but put lots of topspin on the cue ball. Pink 4 probably goes past the 9, and also if it doesn't, he's got the 4-8 combination, which isn't ideal but is possible.
Got a lot of options. You can see 4 is available, Steve, to the pocket that you've just mentioned. And again, with the angle on the 3 here, so many options for Ralf. Just whatever he feels best to secure the victory in this rack.
He's going to have to go, it's pretty thin contact, go twice across the table. Whoa. Perfect.
Not many empty seats here at the arena in Cardiff, and all being treated to just the type of final in the World Championships that they expected. These 2 players, I think it has to be said, were the 2 most in form and consistent players throughout the last week's play. And here they are contesting the final.
Got a nudge on the 5. Oh, that's gone a bit tricky. Now, obviously the 5-8 combination is okay, but of course, where's that 5 going to end up? Will it sneak past the 6? And if so, how can he get the white ball into a position to line up the 5 and the cue ball? Ugh. I don't like it. That's the type of shot that really only Ralf would know. An experienced pool player would know how these would resolve themselves. He's got to hit the 8 on the left-hand side as we look.
That could have gone wrong. And the way that Ralf played it, they've landed in the only spot to leave the 5 on.
And he knew that was going to happen. That is the experience counting. Tight on that rail. So, Souquet, 3 balls away from drawing back to only a 2-frame deficit. How close Was he looking at a 5-frame deficit? Immonen, 6 racks away from winning, nowhere really near the finishing line. And the closer you get to the finishing line, the harder it becomes. Ralf keeping him as far away as he possibly can, perhaps getting some sort of rhythm in his own cueing.
And the 9 down, the Kaiser back in it.
He hit the balls harder there, and he sacrificed the 1 and the wing ball because of it. A little bit too much adrenaline, possibly.
Yeah, still not nearly as animated as we've seen in past performances from Souquet, and no friends on this occasion.
And as this game unfolds, as you would expect, somewhere down the line, there's going to be a tactical exchange. Spinning out off the back cushion to try and return the compliment of a snooker, of a hook, instead of playing the push out.
Yes, if for no other reason, where would he push to? Where he wouldn't leave the 1 on. Every time those balls finish so near the pocket, it's not that easy to find an area to push to safely, and or an area where your opponent can't lay a real good safety back on you. So Immonen may not be the worst option to try and kick this from the back. He's got the pink and green 6 to try and hide the cue ball behind, but looking for a full contact.
I'd say he is more likely to get a snooker here than not. He may have to put a bit more spin on the ball and less pace than he would want. Try to swerve around that brown 7 a bit, and because of that fact, he's played the push. He's now got to leave a slightly easier snooker opportunity, and I've got a feeling now Ralf will go for this.
Yeah, I agree. I think Ralf will take this one on. It's a full ball hit off that top cushion. Again, he's got to spin the white,
but not as much as it was before. So I think that's a tactical error, just a problem for Mika there. He had to give Ralf the option of playing the snooker first or putting, I don't know, who knows about these tactical decisions at the start of these pushes. A push out is a completely alien thing for a snooker player to be debating. He's put him back in. Now Immonen immediately looking to try and snooker back. If he gets it right, Ralf will be kicking himself.
I'm surprised Ralf didn't take that on. I think Mika may be too.
He hits this firmly. The cue ball is definitely going to stay in that area. He's only got to get the line right, and it's guaranteed snooker. Ooh, perhaps Ralf was right.
It's on. Mika's reaction says it all. Didn't quite get in behind that the way he wanted to. And Mika has seen the handles on this match become a little slipperier. All Souquet has to do is concentrate on the pot here. Again, that cue ball is going to come off that side cushion to leave 2 bottom left.
Yes, this looks tricky, but I think it's a pretty easy run out. May have a problem 3 to 4. Oh, that was just in. Kim Davenport, Johnny Archer, all the players staying on to watch this Admiral World Pool Championship final.
That was one colorful sweater that Kim Davenport was wearing there, I'll tell you. 4 world titles in the person of Johnny Archer watching this one.
Shaking a bit, Ralf. Trying to keep himself under control and just about doing it. A bit of body movement, a bit of head movement earlier on in this match. And he hasn't completely settled down. Mika certainly has looked the more confident cueist tonight. Got a long 4 to play position for now, just through the gap between the 6 and 7. maybe the best option to leave himself the long shot if he's feeling good. He looks a bit nervous to me, Jim.
In the chair, he certainly has looked under a lot more pressure than has Immonen. Mind you, Souquet has just secured the last 2 racks and looks favorite to snare this one. And I want to have a look at Mika Immonen after losing 3 racks in a row and see if there isn't a little more tension on his face.
In a way, Immonen's path through to this final has been more of a confidence builder in its own way than Ralf, who has steamrolled it through his last 3 performances and had the game so much his own way. Perhaps he wasn't tested enough. He's showing signs of a little bit of indecision, brushing chalk off the table, taking a little bit longer over his shots to make his mind up. This is an important ball, should get it. And that was as good a strike as Ralf has produced for a while.
Another look at it. A good clean pot and nicely onto the 5. He's already had a look. He just has to clear the 7 to leave the 6 on top left. Now, does he just want to roll through slightly, or does he want to bring the cue ball back?
If he just stuns the cue ball, it will filter through slightly to the left as we look. Probably be on the 6. Two options: draw back for the 7 or run through for the 7 into the centre pocket. Played the third option, the stun. Choice of pockets always. And this is a very simple matter of moving the cue ball as little distance as possible for position. He looks very much like moving to within 1 rack of Immonen.
And now the pressure again reverts back to Mika Immonen. Souquet right on his heels. 9 down, 11-10.
If Ralf can start to run a few racks and keep Mika off the table, the pressure will grow. But he just cannot get the break off, and the cue ball's in the middle. That's a nightmare.
Well, you can see all the supporters of Mika Immonen as that cue ball weaves away to the center pocket. And when you come to the table with cue ball in hand at this level, there's not very often you walk away without securing the rack.
No, there's not, but Mika has a small problem. Blue 2 is hiding behind the pink 4. Mika's asking whether the blue 2 is touching the cushion. What was that all about there? No, it was nowhere near the cushion. Was he asking to clean the blue 2?
I think there might have been a fly sitting on that ball. I just saw Michaela Tabb, our referee, just wave her hand. Just get rid of that fly. Mika doesn't want to. He doesn't want to waste any time with this one. It's all about clearing that 4 here. He's got to be near that left cushion. That should be okay. And position to the 3 from this 2 should lay the groundwork for victory here in this rack.
Oh, good shot.
He's got all the shots, Mika Immonen. He has really learned this game. As you said earlier in the broadcast, Steve, Mika coming from a snooker background, he had about 300 century breaks to his credit. So a very accomplished snooker player at that.
We just saw Ralph's view of the table. The worst view in the world is from this position. You know full well what's happening if you're sitting in that chair. Well, he tried to draw across the 5. He has now left himself in danger for position on the 6. Does he have to go all around the world to get back on this 6, or can he find a way of keeping position by playing a less risky shot? I think he has to go around the table, and there are possibilities for this going awry.
But it just seemed to you like he shot that a bit quick. I mean, given where the 5 was in relationship to the 6, he got down and shot the 4 in without really coming and playing that with any conviction.
I think he could have hit it harder and drawn the cue ball perhaps off of the side cushion to get a little bit straighter on the 5. Can he drop it in very slowly and keep on the 6 without having to go around the table? If he can't, can he find a path back? Ooh. That's as softly as he could hit it.
Well, you saw the cue stick. He was willing that 5 down and just about got to the pocket.
I'll tell you what, any faster and he was snookered on the 6. Nicely up for the 7 in the middle. Options on the 8.
He hasn't been caught since very early in this match. And even when it looked like Ralf Souquet was going to motor right back into it, Mika Immonen up to the challenge.
Still not really anywhere near the finishing line where the final chapter of this match will unfold. As you get closer to that finishing line, the back arm will get tighter and tighter. Both of these players very experienced in playing pressure situation 9-ball pool, but Mika Immonen retains control of the table and the match, and the next break off. A 2-rack lead for Mika Immonen.
Nothing's changed in terms of Immonen and sorting out the break, but he's not on the 2. Right below the 9, and this has been the storyline, Jerry. Another look at the break off, and it's just been a matter of whether Immonen has landed on the lowest ball still remaining, because he's almost always got a ball off the break.
Yeah, he's really controlling this break. He's doing a beautiful job of what has become quite a skill shot in this match. The break shot, so very crucial.
Now, the push-out option here, almost a certainty. You can see the 3 over the bottom left. But Mika, where do you push this out now? Not to leave Ralf either a good attacking safety or even worse, a pot. And Jerry, there aren't many areas in the table to push this cue ball to.
No, this is a tough decision. If you put it in a place that Ralf can't reach it, then you can't reach it either if he gives it back.
You can see where he's looking. If he could get that cue ball tight on that cushion, he would be leaving the pot on, but it would be fraught with danger. And could Souquet possibly attempt it? Here we go. Top right as we look.
Boy, oh boy, do you give this back or do you attack?
Well, I'm not too sure about that one. I think he wanted that cue ball a lot closer to that cushion than this. Souquet will be taking this on in a New York minute.
Still a very, very tough shot, Jim. There's a lot of distance here.
He's almost got that 9 as a guide, too. And the other problem for Ralf is where the 5 is. Cue ball, the natural angle of the cue ball is going to take it back up the left-hand side of the table.
And at this point, he cannot risk a slow roll. So indeed, the cue ball will be taking off upstream.
But you knew he was going to take it on, so here we go.
Well, that one he had to go for, Jim, and he's liable to be paying the supreme price. Yes, indeed. Mika Immonen gets ball in hand off this shot. Watch the cue ball around the table, and gravity takes over right here.
A cruel turn of events for Ralf Souquet. Every time he's come back at Immonen, Immonen has replied. 12-10 in this race to 17, $65,000, an unprecedented first prize fund awaits the winner here, but more importantly, being crowned the world champion of 9-ball pool.
That title, Jim, will make sponsors line up at the door of the winner. Mika now looking to gain a position on the 5-ball that gives him easy access to the 6.
And this shouldn't pose any problems, Jerry. Around the angles, he can spin that white off 3 cushions to play the 6 top right.
He'll want to play this to take that upper left corner way out of the equation. He doesn't want to risk any mistakes here. He's putting his cue ball on the rail exactly where he'd like that cue ball to come back. Oh, that 6-ball. If it reaches up and snares him, it's a foul. Cue ball around the table, right back to that point on the cushion where you saw him laying his cue stick earlier.
Couldn't have struck that any better. And now back the left-hand side, and that's if the 7-9 combination isn't on offer, and he's having a quick look at that. This may not take much doing.
It may not. If it's on, it is dead on.
Well, he'll just bring this cue ball up the right-hand side of the table now as we look. And 13-10, virtually assured.
And the Finn finishes this rack to take a 13-10 lead over the Kaiser.
To break, leading by 13 racks to 10.
There's the face of a distressed gentleman at the moment. He knows his opponent is only 4 racks away. And Mika already in this tournament has run 6 racks in a row.
And look at the 7-9 in the middle of the table yet again. He's on the 1. He's got a perfect angle as we see the break off that Mika Immonen looks to have a patent on.
Well, now,
the 1, the perfect angle, offered up to lay that white right down on the 3. It just seems like that 9 is always in the area where it's been.
well, that's one of the aspects of the Sardo rack. When you rack the balls tightly, all of the energy in the break goes to the outer balls and they spread apart, leaving the 9-ball just squatting right on that center spot, on the foot spot. Mika Immonen cues the 1-ball, allows the cue ball to float down for the 3. The pink ball obstructed his bridge just ever so slightly there, but you'd never know it from the results of that shot. And now really Mika faced with another fairly easy out. He has to reach over the 6, being careful not to foul. Referee Michaela Tav will keep a close eye on that. And oh, Mika, what control you're showing us here. This is textbook pool. Flawless basics, Jim. I'm impressed with both of these men's game. There are just no errors.
You know, Jerry, Steve Davis and I were talking earlier and alluding to their paths through to this final, and where Ralf Souquet seemed to be demolishing everybody in his wake and was never really faced with adversity, whereas Mika Immonen just kept going through these real character building matches building up to this final, and it almost looks like he saved his best for the last.
Well, indeed, it seems as though he has peaked just in time. Oh, he's controlling that cue ball so beautifully.
And two of the stronger American players, the bright colored sweater that Kim Davenport wears, and the man with his chewing his fingernails down on the left there, that's Johnny Archer, the Scorpion, and he was one of the players that many people here picked for the title. But they're witnessing a great one.
Mika Immonen just on the threshold of taking this rack, going up 14-10, a 4-game margin over the Kaiser. 14-10. Mika Immonen over Ralf Souquet. Getting down to the end here.
Here we go. Rack 25. Immonen 14-10 in front, 2 down. 1 down. He's not finished on the 3. He can see it, but nothing easy from which to attack here.
There you see it, the 2 ball in the corner, the 1 ball in the side. The 3 ball finishing up on this side rail in a very, very tricky situation. What Mika would have hoped for was that he could have had a 2-way shot where he could play the ball and also get safe if he missed. But at this point, if he plays this shot, he's going to leave Ralph the opportunity he needs.
He's attacking here.
Oh,
and look at this shot. Needs that cue ball to stop. And I think it did.
The crowd really appreciating that shot. They know the courage that shot took. Take a look at that.
And they gave him everything but a standing ovation after that pot. He's on the 4. The 5 is in the middle of the table.
I tell you what, they say if you're to have the fruit, you must climb the tree. This man is really climbing. Mika Immonen showing no fear, pulling out all stops. And here's your key shot for this rack. If he gets on the 6 ball, and he's done it.
There was never any question of if, it was just when. The 7 looks offered bottom right, and he's got the natural angle on the 6 to drop onto it.
A beautiful display of perfect pool by Mika Immonen.
And all he's got to do is bump this in. The cue ball is going to go right into the 9. He's going to take it out of the equation here, Jerry. 15-10, virtually assured. Well, in fact, he could pull away from it, so even easier for Immonen.
Mika Immonen with the scent of glory in his nostrils now. Will put this 9 ball away in the side pocket. Jimmy's done it.
His pace has quickened, and he senses the kill. Mika Immonen, 15-10 now, ahead of Ralf Souquet. Here we go. Rack 26, 15-10 the lead for Immonen.
There it is.
He's not landed on the 2.
No, he hasn't. You know, Jim, I've been talking to these players all week, and they report about, there's another look at the break. They report about how early in the match you tend to see things going on in the periphery of your vision. You see fans moving around and all that. But at this point, after they've gotten comfortable, they've gotten into their stroke, their world is completely contained within these cushions. And outside of these cushions, they don't allow their senses to extend. It's all on the table.
Jerry, I can totally relate, and anyone that's played at a very high level can tell you. And look at this bank attempt from Immonen.
My goodness.
It is there. He is clicking on all cylinders right now. Look at this shot from Immonen. Does he sense the victory?
Everything his mind commands, his arm delivers, and it delivers it beautifully.
Well, I was just going to agree with you 100%. There's a mistake from Immonen. Well, I said that. I thought he was going to be bridging over the 9, but it's feathered past the 9. He's still got the 5 on. But you know, Jerry, I've played matches with television cameras, and I haven't even seen them before. You get so focused with that area, as you said, that 4.5 by 9 foot area, you don't even know what's going on around you.
Well, that's the power of concentration. And right now, Mika is really into it here. Beautiful, beautiful stroke.
And if anyone thought that Immonen looked like stumbling as he neared the finish line, that certainly doesn't look evident. He looks like he's hitting the ball as purely as he has at any time in this final. He's got a thin clip on this 7, but again, the natural angle is going to leave him on the 8. Just got to worry about the pot and nothing else.
This rack will make him the man on the hill. Look at that. He makes the 7 ball, collides with the 8, controls the path of the 8 for a very, very easy finishing shot. The 8 is the key ball. He'll slide right across the table for the 9 ball. Play it in the same pocket as the 8.
Dire straits for Ralf Souquet. This 9. And would you believe it, Mika Immonen is just 1 rack away from being on top of the 9-ball world. Everybody on their hands, they're sitting, they're watching at home, and Mika Immonen is the maestro controlling things here in Cardiff.
Rack 27, Mika Immonen to break, leading by 16 racks to 10.
And this will be the last time Mika Immonen will be breaking in this final. Regardless of what happens, he won't need that break cue again.
Well, he's not come up happily on this 1 ball.
And holding himself together now must be of paramount importance. When you're so near the peak of the mountain, the high, the rush of adrenaline that you feel, to be able to control all that emotion that's racing through him right now.
Well, he's got a cadre of balls down here that he can choose to hide behind. Instead, he's chosen to pop the 1 ball over on the side rail where the 8 ball interferes with the bank.
There's going to be no sprints over the finish line in this one, Jerry. It's going to be just a nice, smooth pace. He's not going to break stride. And Ralf Souquet has to try and hope that he blows a tire.
But you know what? Ralph has absolutely no give up in him. He's going to be out here thinking that all I've got to do is run 7 racks and I'm the world champion. but he has to have an opportunity.
And in the game of 9-ball, I'm sure with the amount of events that you cover in a year, Jerry, you've probably seen that more times than you can remember, a 7-rack spurt.
Oh, absolutely. In fact, just last year we watched Alain Martel, the Dancing Bear, get out of his chair and run 11 racks in a row. His opponent never moved.
Well, we saw Steve Davis in a memorable match against Efren Reyes come back and snatch victory from the jaws of defeat. And as well, we saw Earl Strickland and Ismael Paez in the semifinals of this very event last year. And what did Paez do to Strickland? Planted him in his chair for about 8 racks.
A beautiful safety. Well, it may have rolled out too far on him. What an attempt that was. It's hard to tell from here whether Mika can see this ball. Look at this. Whoa, what a play from Ralf Souquet.
The right shot, just quite possibly not the right speed. Anxious moments right now for Souquet. Looks like this one is on. And if he gets this in position and it
well, I'm not sure, Jim.
Well, I'll tell you what, it definitely looks on to me, Jerry.
I think he's, well, you must be right because he's cueing with a level cue. 1 ball down, 2 ball sitting right dead in his sights. 3 ball laying in a great shape for him to get natural roll off this cue ball. I think that's the final nail in the coffin.
Long 3, doesn't have to do anything with the white. The 5 is right there. And is there anyone in this crowd more nervous right now than Mika Immonen's girlfriend, Helen?
Well, that man certainly doesn't look nervous. He's very sure of himself right now. His abilities are in top form.
There's no obstacles now for Immonen other than the ones that appear within himself. He is on the brink of victory. On a practice table, he could turn that cue stick around and knock these 4 balls in. Here, now, a world championship dependent on these last 3.
Mika Immonen standing on the cusp of the grandest title in world pool. Now when he sights this 8 ball right past the pocket is the championship trophy that he will take home this evening.
Cue ball couldn't have landed any worse for Immonen, though. Had it been away from that side cushion, this would have been a formality. But now you can see slightly awkward cueing. He's going to be cueing right across that right cushion. And Mika is taking a lot of time gathering himself. And will that trophy be going to New York with Mika Immonen? Probably be carted around a few streets in Finland, I would imagine, first. He learned the game in London. Born here.
He's trying to quiet his mind, put this ball in the pocket. He's done that. He's come up on the 50-yard line on this 9 ball. He would like certainly to be straighter in, but he's made this shot all week long.
Grew up in Finland, now living in New York, and Mika Immonen is 1 ball away from being the best player in the world. You can hear a pin drop out there. It's there! Mika Immonen is the world champion, and look at the fin! The Iceman, Mika Immonen. He is the 2001 World 9-ball champion. Here comes Helen.
He's just now realized what he's accomplished. His Mosconi Cup captain comes out and congratulates him, raises his hand high. Jim, this young man has come so far,
The
so
emotions
fast.
will come out now. He can hold nothing back. Mika Immonen is the world champion of the world in 9-ball pool.
All the hard work has paid off. Nobody works harder at this game than Mika Immonen, and now he stands atop his world. The Admiral World Pool Championship champion for 2001, Mika Immonen.
So, Mika Immonen beating Ralf Souquet 17 racks to 10. A new name will be on that trophy in 2001. Immonen from Finland is the world champion.